3 people.
Pretty fucking wild. Where the
2
hell?
people actually only, I think.
Yeah, three wib. Oh.
I'm trying this Sam Adams chocolate Bach.
How's that?
Scared. I don't know. I haven't had it before. It's actually smooth, rich, and dark. So it says.
All right.
What's up over there, Caleb? How you doing?
All right. Just hanging out.
This is going to be one of the wildest fucking ends to the season probably of all time. Like,
Not ready for it.
I need Tim to lose all of the games.
All I wanted was for Tim to lose and to get Melvin. It just couldn't happen. And I just want to make a trade for like a stud so bad. And not even a full-on stud. I'll accept a Fournette with the injury issues, but even I can't even get that rolling.
Yeah.
Tried my hand at Thielen today. That went nowhere.
God damn it.
Threw out a Mike Evans name. That didn't go anywhere.
It's like
Trying to make things move, but
when you tweeted the draft order today and I saw that I was 5th, I was just like, wait a minute. How is this a thing? And then I was like, oh, that's right. Everybody's 5-5, and fucking Tim just scored 1 million points and is now ahead of me. Gross. Oh, I gotta plug in. Well, you ready for this shite?
Mm-hmm.
ready.
Gotta pull up my app. All right. This week is sober week.
Really? Why is that?
Sober week.
Just feeling like I could probably benefit from a week off, and I want to see if I feel better at the end of it. If my body feels better.
So, like, how far are you into it?
2 days.
How's it feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not feeling like I'm not feeling the pull yet. So hopefully
Hey,
that continues.
You don't want to have a beer with the pod? Pod with the beer fam?
This was the first real test. It's like, can I do the pod without a beer? And I'm having a squirt.
Okay. You want a little whiskey in that squirt? Squirt the whiskey.
Knock it off. All right. Shut up.
Ryan Fitzpatrick has a sunburn in his ESPN picture. That's
awful. That's the most Ryan Fitzpatrick thing I've ever heard. I'm gonna open my window. People watch. Ooh, welcome everybody to the Week 10 2018 Web.com podcast. Holy cry, guy. It's double digits already.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
It's a Frazier. It's a Caleb. He's not sitting next to me this week. And hopefully I don't sound like Satan again.
That playback was awesome.
I didn't realize that it was going to be that bad until
That's what
I was putting it together.
It went away, and I figured it was better, but
Oh my
Caleb,
God.
did you listen to why I was laughing so hard? Did you listen to your voice? For some reason, it was like that for Caleb, but not for Corf. And then, the actual pod, it was like it for both of you.
Jesus. Yeah, I can't wait to get done with this one and hear that my voice is the exact same and nobody gets it.
It's very, very difficult to take Caleb seriously when he sounds like Darth Vader.
I was starting to laugh too because I could see a reaction. I could sort of hear the echo of him. Like, oh my God, I sound ridiculous. I'm trying to talk trades, and I'm just fucking the deepest voice ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that is all resolved because we have probably what's going to be a pretty high stakes kind of show. We got a lot to talk about. We got some trades. We got some playoff picture things coming into fruition. First thing I want to say about week 10 is that this was the highest scoring week of all time.
Wow.
Oh my God. The first week that we've ever averaged over 170 points per game.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
And let it be known that that was not, we had a huge total this week, but it wasn't really pulled up by one or two huge totals because we've seen weeks like the famous week 13 of 2014 where Dan and Brock both went over 230 or 225 or something. That wasn't even the highest scoring week of all time. So a lot of teams were putting points on the board. I know Caleb set the record earlier this year for highest week low. That was broken this week by Calvin.
Dang.
So,
wow. 142-0 WIB.
Yep. So, this season just keeps barreling right along with these high point totals, very high offensive point totals. The defensive scoring this week was actually down. So if the defenses would have been a couple points higher, like we've seen, would have been even higher scoring. But the offenses were on fire this week. This is the highest offensive scoring week ever. 116 points per game from the offenses. It's not even close. Second place is 5 or 6 points below that. So explosions as we move towards the end of the season here.
I should have known it'd be a big week overall if LaShawn McCoy was going off.
Seemed like everybody was just popping off this week. Yeah. Everybody had a lot going on. So one thing I want to say here is I feel like this is true. Maybe you disagree, but I feel like we see these things happening in the later parts of the season more often, where these good teams all of a sudden are just exploding.
Yeah.
You think that's real?
I've noticed that too. Especially in that 2014, maybe not as much the last 3 years, but it's definitely. I don't know. We had a couple weeks at the end of last year where I feel like we flirted with some scoring records too, and now this week with the scoring record. But I think it's a product of maybe teams wearing down. Some teams haven't had their bye yet. Some have. Teams are finally kind of clicking on all cylinders after shaking off that early season rust. I think it's a combination of that kind of stuff, and you just end up getting these massive fantasy weeks every once in a while out of it.
Yeah, some of these huge totals from our past, 2015, Parker hung a 236 in week 13. Multiple 200-point games kind of coming in over these last 4 to 5 weeks, if you go back through the history. So the good teams, maybe showing up a little bit more here in the later part of the season. Some of these teams that are kind of sitting in the middle or just starting to kind of break ahead right now, teams that we thought were going to be favorites in the conference races, maybe that plays a part in how these things finish up. Before we jump into the games, we had a couple of trades. This is becoming a normal part of the show here in the last few weeks. Some trades coming in. Not big ones this week, but the trade deadline's only 2 days away, so more and more are going to start popping in, and we see Brock adding a quarterback with Tom Brady on a bye this week in his big matchup with Tim. So, Brock, you want to walk us through that one?
So I hadn't been carrying only 2 active QBs for the better part of the last since Josh Allen got injured. And I've been watching this Patriots bye week, and I haven't done really anything about it. And now it's here, and I'm looking at the wire, and I see Dak Prescott and Blake Bortles, and I was like, no. So I figured I might as well go out and see what kind of cheap quarterbacks are out there, or potentially maybe even upgrading Brady, but I ended up settling on Fitzmagic and made my first ever trade that was specifically made for just 1 week. I don't care what happens after.
And that's kind of what this season is going to be doing. That's why I expect some more. Maybe we see a lot of not super high profile trades pouring in on the Thursday deadline, but moves like this where you're just trying to set yourself ahead by a little bit, maybe even for a single week, because it is so close right now in the middle. We got these big games just keep on coming up every single week. My trade was a little bit different. This is not a trade that's going to affect me at all this season. But, I came on here a few weeks ago and said I thought Devontae was back, and I saw the opportunity to get him back on the team. And, next year's the year. I just really feel like put him on the breakout candidate list for next season.
Oh, my God.
I didn't see this trade coming at all. Not. Even when Josh came on and said anyone can get him.
I was contemplating it, honestly. After seeing him in person, I was like, he's tall. He's pretty fast.
I almost did, and then I put myself in Josh's shoes and to get that desperate to just message everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle seeing him on my bench if it pissed Josh off that much.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got to be one of the most frustrating players to own since all of this has happened over 3-year period where you go in thinking you're going to have potentially a wide receiver 2 and then you get absolute nothing out of him. But he had the big game, looked pretty good against the Packers till he got hurt. I mean, he only had 46 yards, but 5 catches. So I don't know. I just roll the dice. Ito Smith has been kind of he's gotten some carries for the Falcons, but he hasn't looked super impressive. So I felt okay moving on, and it was a player that Josh had inquired about earlier in the season. So, but that could also end up being a pretty decent piece for Josh if he needs a flex place 1 week. Ito's got some touchdowns, so could be a decent move for Josh yet this year.
So we decided to go with Ito over the third. Take us through that thought process.
I wanted to keep the pick. I wasn't super excited about Ito. I had to start him this season, and it kind of just honestly put a bad taste in my mouth. Him and Smallwood were still on my team, and I was just hating them every single week pretty much. And I just kept the pick. Probably gonna look at investing it in defense and feel pretty confident in 3rd-round defensive players. So I just went for Ito.
Okay, sorry, I had to make a mic switch. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Absolutely.
All right. I was gonna ask, who drafted Devontae Parker? I think that was before.
I did.
You did, bro.
Me.
Did you trade him to Corf, or was it?
I traded on
Yep.
McCorf in 2016 for Jordy Nelson.
Okay.
At that point, Devontae Parker still this hot prospect, could blow up at any time. And here we are 2 years later,
Still a hot
getting
prospect.
traded for Ito Smith.
That's the thing. And I was talking about this. I'm going to probably be looking at some of our past draft histories and kind of looking at what positions kind of hit at what points. And Devontae Parker, you know, this was a guy highly drafted in Webb. He was 5th overall to Brock. You know, it's just wide receivers, man. They're weird. You can't really predict what they're all about. That includes guys that went 1st overall at the position. We have one of those that popped off this week. We'll talk about that when we get to Caleb's explosion. But
listen to this. I was looking at this, but let's listen to this 2015 first round picks here. We got Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon, 2 nice picks. We got Amari Cooper, Kevin White, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, TJ Yeldon, Amir Abdullah, Brashard Perryman, Dorial Green Beckham. It's the first round 2015.
It's crazy when you look at that, and then you look at some of these ones that we've had over the last 2 years, where you have pretty much high impact guys all the way down.
Yeah.
And that one, it like stopped at 4. And 3 is honestly questionable. So yeah, not a good year.
Yes.
All right. Week 10, big games, high scoring. Let's start with our game of the week, which did I even vote for game of the week this week? What was it?
Only 8 people voted, so
Hang on,
you
let me
were one
vote
of
real
them, one of the culprits.
I'm going to vote real quick.
You know what
Oh,
we
that's
can do
real
to those
nice.
people,
Okay.
right?
Stop. Don't hurt me. Okay. All right. The game I voted for was indeed the game that did win. Frazier and Josh. Josh gets his 2nd game of the week in 3 weeks after not having one at all.
Sheesh.
Big games for the Rebels. And this was easily the biggest of his season, his first matchup with the defending 4-time conference champion. And it wasn't a blowout, but it was pretty much always in hand. Frazier walks away with a victory here this week.
Oh yeah, big win to keep track with Josh. Did not want to fall 3 games behind them and have to fight with Tim for that 2nd spot. Had to make up 18 points in the kicker position, and that's always rough.
Kicker curse. Did you see that?
The kicker curse is back.
Yeah, Parkey hit the uprights 4 times that
He
game.
he missed 2 extra points and 2 field goals. Luckily, he kept it from going negative.
And then Will Lutz popped off.
Yeah,
Jesus.
so Josh's kicker goes off for 18. I think this is all in the noon games, and I'm just like, this is not good. The kicker curse is going to ruin my season. But big day. I'm going to start first with Aaron Donald. Kind of got me to that point where it did seal it. 2.5 sacks. Biggest day of the day was LaShawn McCoy, who found himself on my trade block. He wasn't happy about it, just specifically with the way it was worded. Any offer takes McCoy. Not great for the guy's confidence. So what does he do? He goes out and scores 2 touchdowns and saves my season. What a guy.
Where does that come from? The Bills are the weirdest team ever. Just go out there and destroy the Jets.
So yeah, big McCoy. I don't win this game without McCoy going off too. So yeah. Big week. Caught Josh in a little bit of an off week. He's got a little bit of some weird offensive struggles right now with injuries and having to pick up Danny Amendola to flex start. So we took advantage of it.
Yeah, and that is kind of a theme with Josh's season. Obviously, is he hasn't been a great offensive team, and we kind of knew that coming into the season. He's got some of these younger guys, and we see these flashes. Like Marlon Mack has a couple big games, and Godwin has 100 yards this week. But putting it all together has been a struggle for him. And we see a 78 this week on the offensive side is his lowest of the season. And he is now dangerously close after Caleb's explosion on offense this week to being the lowest offensive scoring team in Webb. So this is a team that has leaned heavily on the defense. That's been a well-known fact, but James White has an off week, and some of the, you mentioned the Amendola start. But vulnerable on the offensive side, and this is what can happen when you're leaning on your defense, which did score 66 again, over 60 points again, but not enough to overcome. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mario Addison, though, the biggest roller coaster player ever, scores 0 against the Ravens, scores 19 against the Buccaneers, and this week scored 0 against the Steelers. So really, that's a typical kind of me player. But I don't know, this defense is so good, and it covers up a lot of the holes in the offense, but this week it wasn't enough. Maybe Gronk's out there, get a revenge game against Frazier, but classic Gronk can't get on the field. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is 2 games since that trade, and he hasn't seen him on the field yet. And in that stretch, he's starting Lance Kendricks in kind of an emergency situation, and then CJ Uzama.
Gronk on the bye this week, so hopefully he gets him back healthy.
Yeah.
12.
Yep,
that'd be big.
So this was kind of a good game. Obviously, it was game of the week. People were excited about it, but it's kind of a good game in seeing maybe where the Pac-5 is going to head. This was a game that obviously both teams had circled on the calendar, and now we see Josh drops to 7-3, and Frazier up to 6-4. Now only 1 game difference, and they got their second matchup coming up in a couple weeks. So. This was a huge game. Frazier picks the win up, and honestly, this could be the beginning of the takeover. Frazier moving for that 5th consecutive conference championship. But we do have another team in the Pac-5 that decided to wake up this week, and that was Tim. So 1 week after threatening to sell his team. Rumblings of trading guys like Melvin Gordon, and now you see why you don't do that. Not when you panic.
Not just rumblings. I almost had him.
Yeah,
so close.
we were millimeters away from a girly Melvin Gordon 1-2 from the 2015 draft being on the 2-time defending champions team, and Tim steps away from the edge for 1 more week, and this is what happens. 222.3. This was a full-out dominating performance. This was the 5th highest scoring offensive total of all time, coming in at 163.3.
That is wild that there are 4 games that had higher offensive totals, because I'm just looking at the box score right now, and it's insane the amount of points that are being put up here.
I couldn't believe the touchdowns that his team was scoring. It was just constant on the red zone. It was like Ebron scores 1, Ebron runs 1 in, Ebron gets another one. Oh my god! And then Melvin runs this 60-yard thing in, and then you got Sunday night game. Zeke scores 2, Odell scores 2. It was nuts.
Yeah. It was huge, and this is the power of this offense. He had the down stretch, he had the back-to-back week lows, which is honestly amazing when you look at what his team has bringing to the table every week. But we mentioned those buys maybe playing a part. Now he's got the team back at full strength, but I mean, not even we could anticipate that would mean what this week was, which was just absolute domination, the 2nd highest scoring week of the season. Obviously, Dan had the 230 in week 1, but yeah, this is a scary team. He's looking to put these past few weeks behind him here and move forward with this new confidence. And now at 5-5, the Pac-5 is still up for grabs. He's definitely in that mix, and if not that, the wild card spots are going to get heated up, especially if Josh drops another one. Frazier wins next week, and all of a sudden you got Frazier in the lead. Josh becomes a wild card. He's going to win a scoring tiebreaker. He's not going to be able to do that against Tim. So that's going to be something to watch here with Tim's team. Other side of things was Dave. Obviously, this is the kind of game that Tim wanted to win. Mentioned Dave kind of, he's far and away the worst team this season in terms of what the stats will tell you. And, 157.7 this week, decent total. But,
as much as Tim wanted to win, Dave might have wanted to win more.
That's probably true.
Oh, it definitely is true. I think we saw one Snapchat video of him just stewing in Tim's potential projection score when it was like a 200, which he ends up beating by 20. Yeah, jeez. Dave wanted to win this more than Tim.
And it started off so well with the McCaffrey game. It was like, oh my gosh, this is actually gonna end Tim. And then then the actual stuff happened.
Yeah. Good news though for Dave. How about Anthony Miller?
Big week.
Popping up on the scene. The Bears passing offense suddenly looks freaking lethal. Trubisky and A-Rob and Miller connection.
Austin Eckler had 5 tackles this week.
What? Wow.
That's more than my linebackers half the time.
Special teams specialist right here, Austin Eckler. I did not know that he played special teams, but he had a day.
That is a weapon to have there. That's got to be a record for a skill position. You got to think.
Yeah, I would imagine, especially when they got started.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow.
More tackles than same as DeMarcus Lawrence, more than TJ Watt.
More than Miles Jack.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. Yeah. All right. Moving right along. Killing it this week. Big Five. We had a big game between Carter and Dan. This was kind of the opposing game to the Frazier Josh game where you had the conference, wild card, current wild card, maybe even favored for the conference title going up against the actual conference leader. And wow, what a result this week. This Dan thing is getting weirder every week. And now Carter, the lone 8-2 team in Webb.
Dang. Crazy.
Whoop, whoop. We got the president of the HaHa Dicks fan club here. Would you like to say something about your favorite team?
Oh, huge day. I got to get myself a jersey, some merch. Biggest win of his career. Biggest win of this team's life. Sterling Shepard comes up huge. It didn't look good in the first half. We were sweating, not going to lie. Didn't look great. Then all of a sudden he hits this big reverse. 27 yards. That might do it. It did by 5 yards. We took the lead. And then just to say, fuck you, stat changes, we go out and score a touchdown in the last 2 minutes. Sterling Shepard just to clinch that. So yeah, huge win for HaHa Dicks.
Yeah. Absolutely massive. This is the first time that this franchise has beaten Dan 2 times in one season, which is, kind of if you want to win this conference, you kind of got to go through Dan. I know it used to be Parker, but Dan was always kind of in there as well. So 2 wins over Dan this season in a season that is far from a 5-5 through 10 game season. We'll talk about that when we get to Dan, but Carter, this is crazy. I know we kind of mentioned that Josh was maybe the better of these 2 teams if we're talking about who's going to be able to hold on to this conference lead. Well, Carter comes out, scores 171.8, his highest of the season, and beats Dan. So 8-2, you'd have to pretty much lose out at this point.
The David Johnson acquisition looks real nice here because I don't think he wins this game without him. 31 points. And then
Massive.
Zach Ertz, just an absolutely massive game too. Like this came out of nowhere, like at the end, like it was looking down, Ertz pops off, and then Shepard closes it out. Like what a crazy game.
This team. All of a sudden, we got two studs here. We got David Johnson and Zach Ertz carrying this team. A couple good players around them. Tevin Coleman can go off for 20 points. Not sure how Doug Baldwin's been doing, but just Sean Jackson, another guy who could go off at any moment. It's an inconsistent offense. He's kind of been relying on those huge performances the last couple weeks, but yeah, it's working for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny because obviously monitoring these games all day on Sunday, I said to Caleb kind of before this Eagles game on Sunday night, like, Zach Ertz, 150 and 2 touchdowns. That's all it takes. And
Literally.
yeah, so I might have to take the blame for this one. Sorry, Dan.
It literally, it just came out perfect. I was like, there's no way. It's because it looked like it was pretty much over, honestly.
Yeah.
Dan was like projected a lot at the start of the day. I was like, wow, Dan really showing who's boss.
That's the other story here is Dan's projections were up to 214 at one point. He had the hot start from Kamara, and Allen Robinson was huge. That's looking like it was probably going to be a good trade for him. Tyreek Hill and Mahomes obviously had one of their boom weeks. And so it was looking like he was going to do something like Tim did this week and then just couldn't follow through with the later players that he had. 165 is by no means a bad total. This is a typical Dan thing this season where his losses are kind of coming even though he's up in this echelon of points that you want to be up in. 3 losses now where he's over 160 points. But yeah, this is crazy. That I have to address something that apparently has been being discussed in the web house, which is Dan on pace for the highest scoring season of all time? And actually going into the week, he was. He no longer is, but he's right at the marker. 178.2. The highest scoring team of all time is Brock's undefeated team, which was 179 points per game. So
what were I want to compare this to the average score each year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So this season, Dan is roughly 19 points ahead. And in 2014, you were 24.
Okay.
So,
well, so
this has been our highest scoring season of all time overall. So it would make sense that we would see the highest scoring team kind of flirting with that kind of marker. But to be 5-5 as potentially the highest scoring team ever,
jeez.
We saw Dan come out on Twitter and voice some frustrations. He's obviously still in the playoffs if the season ends today. But it's been a weird year for Dan. This is a team that's playing at like an 11-win kind of a pace here, and he's going to struggle to get to 8. I think he's going to have to fight to get to 8.
Maybe if he would take Tim's mug off of his team photo, he would do better.
It's the cancer of having Tim associated with your team.
Yeah, the Tim curse. Ooh.
Tim curse.
Got a lot of curses in web nowadays.
I can't even keep track of them, man.
Classic Allen Robinson. I trade him away and has his best game probably in like over a year. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I'm gonna have to start keeping a book of all the curses I laid out.
We just start up the pod and then Fraser brings in this binder and just like, well, let's see here. It goes down the names. Let me check the index.
Did anyone break their curse this week? No. Curse book wins again.
Corey Davis popped off. Oh, he's not cursed by Mingo anymore. Classic.
Allen Robinson not cursed by Caleb.
Yeah. So overall, this was Carter's shining moment. This was, the kind of moment that could define his season. Dan's still obviously going to be around. We got 4 games to play, and he's definitely gonna be pissed off in these last 4 weeks. Maybe we'll see, topping that 230 that he put up in week 1 potentially, but we'll see.
Is he angry?
I can't tell. I don't know. All right.
Get him on the pod. Maybe he'd probably have a nice little rant for us.
Rant.
If he loses this next week, we gotta have him on. It would be an all-time rant.
Yeah, against Parker on his 5-game skid. Yikes. All right. Our other game in the Big Five was another one that had a little bit of implications attached to it. Both of these teams looking to hang around in this wild card conversation, maybe even in the Big Five conversation. And my team decided that it was going to explode again here on offense. 183.9 was a 7 WHIP this week behind the 200 teams. I don't know. This is another thing where I didn't expect to be 5-5 with what I've seen. I got hit with that weak stretch in the middle that brought me down. But yeah, what do we think about my team? Aaron Jones, potential superstar,
maybe
if he gets used, man. Yeah. Yeah, he looked really good as he has all year. Finally got 15 carries, which is where Packers have always said they wanted him, but he finally got there. Explodes for a couple long runs. He's explosive. Could be your next superstar here. And props to whoever drafted him in the 4th round last year. What an eye for talent.
Right. Amari Cooper looking okay too. So that's good, I guess. I mean, it's early, but looking okay. Like this offense is very good and young. And even Baker in his first career start having a big week. You love to see it. So, yeah. And Zach Brown bagged 11 points.
I know Baker woke up dangerous. How dangerous did you wake up? So not.
Where am I?
What happened?
I'm always dangerous. I got shirtless photos with Bengal tigers too, all right? You just haven't seen them.
Oh, you need to replicate that this offseason. Incredible. Get like a stuffed animal.
Yeah, so 125.9 points out of the offense this week moves me to the 2nd spot, or maybe I was already in the 2nd spot, I don't remember, for offensive scoring this season. Once again, the defense, mediocre total of 58, which is a little bit better, closer to the average, but, whatever.
Did I place my defensive line curse on you, possibly? Has that transferred over somehow?
It's possible.
One of my players carried it over like a disease. Now it's just sort of.
I'll review the information this week and get back to you.
Write it in the book. Yeah, I don't know. Hoping to see more out of them, but right now just kind of gonna lean on my offense as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get back. I got some big games. I got Carter coming up this week. That's gonna be a huge game for me. And then Kelvin again, my second Kelvin game the following week. That week 14 showdown with Dan seems to be setting up for a massive game in terms of playoff implications.
Do I smell a play-in game? I may.
Say that. I don't want to play Dan in that game. Stop. Oh, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah. Kelvin, on the other hand, this was kind of the hottest team in Webb, 4-game winning streak. We were talking him up. He's 5-4. Maybe even looking at getting into the playoffs here. Now back down to 5-5 with a week low, albeit not necessarily a bad week low. This wasn't really a horrible performance by any means by his team. But yeah.
Honestly, as Calvin's biggest supporter, I expected you to throw this game.
I thought about it. Started like Wendell Smallwood again. What a bitch.
So we got some bad news here. Calvin loses Cooper Cup for the year.
Yeah.
For ACL.
Yeah, that's rough.
Should be good to go for next year, November. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the good news, Le'Veon Bell did not report
Yeah.
to sign his franchise tag. So
Also bad
James
news for
Conner.
Dan, but yeah, very good news
Right.
for Kelvin.
So James Conner, choo-choo, RB1
Yeah.
the rest of the year.
The
And
question that's
beyond,
been
probably.
looming, the question that's been looming all season has finally been answered. It doesn't appear that Dan really needs Le'Veon Bell, which is kind of ridiculous to say that. But Kelvin definitely needs James Conner, and luckily he will have him for the last 4 weeks. But this is a team very hot. Has obviously was looking very impressive. Drops a game here, now sitting at the same record as Dan, Tim, and me, all of which are scoring ahead of him right now. This is definitely a team that has some work to do yet if it wants to, make that push for potentially like a 4 seed. And he does have a big interconference game with Josh coming up this week, so that'll be an interesting game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of interconference games, our last game of the week, Parker and Caleb. Did we not say 3 weeks ago or whatever that Caleb was a team that could make some noise? Well, all of a sudden, you get Fournette back, you get Corey Davis in the lineup again here, and all of a sudden, a glimpse into the Dark Brotherhood's future with a 208-point game.
I like this Dark Brotherhood's future led by Ben Roethlisberger. 35 points.
That is like the one outlier in this whole lineup. He's just sort of there. I don't really know what his purpose is, just to score points, I guess. But yeah, big week. Got my running back trio going. All had a pretty nice performances. Fournette looked good, didn't get hurt. Corey Davis looked incredible. The Titans, #Tighten up, destroyed the Patriots. Marcus Mariota has feeling in his fingers again, and all is well in the world. I'm just really happy for this team. It's been a rough year, but they've stuck together. They know they're young. They know they've got promising futures, and it's finally starting to come to fruition. So really looking forward to, getting these guys off injured reserve that I've acquired, see how they pull into the talents for this end of this year and next year. So just really nice to see this week.
And the thing is, I can't even be mad about Corey Davis for multiple reasons, because A, I love him and I'm happy to see his success, but B, he would have never done this on my team. So I'm just happy to have moved on and allowed him to flourish in his NFL career.
May I propose a C?
Sure.
You're going to trade back for him at some point.
Whoa.
That's probably a fact. Caleb, get ready for your next haul incoming next season.
It's just gonna be haul after haul, and I'm just gonna be
bringing dump trucks in every season for one of the guys.
Who ordered the Fournette combo? That was me. How's that Fournette looking? Did it break on the delivery attempt? No, it's ready to go. Actually,
playing again.
But,
yeah. Obviously that trade was huge for both teams. My team would not be back in this conversation if not for Michael Thomas. And your team obviously looks pretty damn good heading into 2019 with the guys that you acquired, some of which haven't even gotten to play yet. So bright future. This is Caleb. I want you to get ready for this. All right. What you have done with this franchise over the last 3 years. This is the team's highest scoring game of all time. 3 owners later.
Yay.
Look at you go.
Awesome. How many, I don't know. There probably haven't been many 200-point games before this, have there? Maybe 2?
1.
Just 1.
And that was the previous highest scoring week for your team was 207 something. That was the only other 200-point game that your team had. So, huge week, bright spot in a season that hasn't really gone your way, but on the upswing again.
This team was just one of those teams that just it got too ahead of itself in the rebuild schedule last
Yeah,
year.
it did.
Overperformed.
Honestly, yeah, making the playoffs last year was awesome, but it definitely like stalled my building process because it was just like I couldn't get a high pick, and I was just like, I don't know. It was
Well, and that's the thing though too is like you didn't get that high pick because you were in the playoffs, but you were able to pick up some guys later in the first that really
True.
have had an impact on your team. Like Kerryon Johnson obviously was 8th overall. That's been a huge piece. And you've seen some flashes from DJ Moore. That's you got to anticipate that's only going to get more and more as the season progresses and into next season as well. So yeah, definitely some hits there at the end of the first, and some more younger stars coming in later this season with the trade, and that's all it takes.
Also, this team picked up some valuable playoff experience last year.
Yeah,
you got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Dark Brotherhood to the title 2019. I will be on here next summer to tell you all that he is my championship pick. All right. So the other side of this game, a lot of good news for Caleb, not a lot of good news for Parker. We kind of called this a can't lose, must win situation for Parker this week. And he was blown out and is now on I didn't check. I can probably check while we're talking here, but a 5-game losing streak, I would imagine, is probably this team's longest losing streak since 2013. You trade David Johnson, writing on the wall in terms of where this team is headed, in terms of what it wants to accomplish. And now you kind of see that, yeah, this is probably going to be the beginning of at least a retooling for Parker.
Yeah, so going into this week, obviously we had pretty much a throw in the towel with the David Johnson trade. I know he was kind of maybe a little bit of a sliver of maybe I can get a win against the 2-7 Caleb team and contend with the Breida trade or that he got back. So, but runs into a buzzsaw of Ben Roethlisberger this week. Yeah, so this team's kind of moved into kind of a similar situation with Caleb, where he's just kind of watching, hoping to see some good things. And I thought he saw a lot of really good things this week out of specifically Chubb and Breida, that potential running back duo of the future here. Breida looked amazing last night. That was like the first time I actually watched a whole game of him. Nick Chubb, Browns' new longest run record holder, looking like a dominant backfield pair to go with Baker. So yeah, a couple nice things to see out of Parker's team this week. So hopefully he can pair those two with his wide receiver core next year and maybe get right back in it.
Yeah, this is not a team that you're used to talking about in the sense of what does the future have in store, but in terms of where is this team headed, it looks pretty good. You see 170 this week. And you lose by almost 40 points. That's just kind of unfortunate. But yeah, like you said, this running back duo, Chubb obviously has looked incredible so far, and he's got those wide receivers. Of course, this is a team that's very young, and now you see the emergence of some of these guys, these running backs. Yeah, probably a quick turnaround for Parker if he's gonna sit this year out. So, All right, guys, that's week 10. So we only got 4 weeks to go, and the trade deadline is coming up hot in 2 days. Thursday at noon. All deals
11.
must be in by. 11. It is 11.
Yep, it's noon Eastern.
Okay. Yep, you're right. So 11. All deals must be finalized by 11.
We will honor texts in by 11.
Yes.
If we're not able to get it in on the page.
Correct. So if you're negotiating at the last second there, send us a message, and that'll count for a official trade. So expecting to see many of those. What? Caleb?
my favorite couple days of the year, right before the trade deadline. You never know what's going to happen, and you might think nothing's going to happen with your team, but something always does. So that's why I'm excited, because I have no idea.
Yeah, this is an interesting deadline because like the way it went today, we saw those couple of minor trades, but as of right now, I'm expecting it to be kind of quiet. But
so.
I know I'm going to be proven wrong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a little different with,
Because
all the competing teams.
With these fireworks that have gone up the last couple of weeks too, I feel like everyone's kind of content with where they are right now is the vibe that I'm kind of getting. Maybe a few minor moves here, but I'm making a prediction that we don't see anything too major.
Teams were kind of forced to do the trade deadline a little early this season, I think, because they were like I know I and Carter were trying to kind of separate ourselves earlier than week 10. But there's always the chance. This happened to me last season where I didn't think I was making a move, and you get down to that final hour, and all of a sudden you're like, it's now or never, and all of a sudden I'm trading it first for Marvin Jones. Like these things just kind of happen.
Did I just see a glimpse into my future?
Hit me up.
It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. All right. Week 11, then obviously these weeks just keep getting bigger and bigger. The stakes keep getting higher and higher. We got 5 and 5, just like we had 4 and 4. So let's crank these out lightning round style.
Oh, shit.
All right. In the Big 5, huge game. 8-2 Carter faces off with the 5-5 Mingo. Looking to pick one up here.
I picked against Carter last week. He came up with a huge win, so I'm going to pick against him again this week, and hopefully he wins again. I'm picking Mingo.
Yep, I'm going to go with Mingo as well. This offense is clicking on all cylinders. I'm not too convinced by Deshaun Jackson and Demaryius Thomas, but David Johnson will probably help make this a game. It'll be a close one, but I'm taking Mingo.
Yeah, feeling real good about my offense, and the team is playing inspired. We know that we can't lose many more, if any more, so I'm picking myself.
All right, clean sweep.
Second Big 5 game then. Dan and Parker. Dan won the first matchup this season. Parker on a 5-game losing streak, which is tied for his longest of all time, which was in 2013.
I think for chaos reasons, I'm going to pick Parker to knock Dan to 5 and 6. And Dan's going to come on the pod next week, and we're going to have an all-time rant. That's my pick.
I would really like that, but I'm not sure I see it coming through. I'm going to take Dan.
Parker would have beat him this week. And I like what these running backs are doing right now. Dan probably doesn't get the same amount of production out of Allen Robinson. I'm going to go with Parker. Yes. Oh, Dan's going to be pissed. All right. All right. This is I'm gonna already say we got a game of the week going on here in the Pac-5. Frazier and Tim in what is going to be a nuclear explosion of a game. Week 11 playoff implications have never been higher. These two teams, baby. Who we got?
This might be the biggest Week 11 game of all time. The team has underperformed a little bit the last couple of weeks, but they know when to step up. Tim took the first one. I'm taking the second one. Frazier comes away with the win.
Yeah, it's tough for me to bet against Frazier at this point in the season. He usually closes out the Pac-5. I really want to pick Tim, but history is telling me it's going to be Frazier.
Yeah, Tim's coming off his best week of all time for his team, 222. Feeling pretty damn good. Trade deadline's going to pass. He can't sell anymore after this loss to Frazier this week, though. Oof. I'm picking Frazier.
I'm hearing a lot of rumblings that his team may have used up all of its points last week.
Oh,
it's over. There's no more touchdowns. All right, second Pac-5 game. Dave and Caleb. This was, maybe first overall pick implications again.
Oh boy.
Get me Caleb. I'm gonna have Dirty Dave seal up his first ever first overall pick.
Yep, I'm going with myself as well. Yeah, that's all.
Caleb is a better team than 3-7 with the team that he's assembled in the last 3 weeks here, and this past week showed that. Give me Caleb big time. And then our interconference game of the week. Current Pac-5 leader Josh takes on wildcard hopeful Kelvin.
This is a spicy one.
Yeah, what a interconference game of the week. I'm intrigued. I think Josh's team's going to respond well after this loss. At the same time, I think Calvin's team's going to respond well to its leader James Conner, cancer survivor, becoming
Wait,
what cancer survivor?
Oh,
Wait,
really?
he had cancer?
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Jeez, where have I been?
Wow.
You guys didn't know that? Caleb, you didn't know that?
I'm kidding. Jesus.
Okay. All right.
Lightning round's compromised.
It's
Cancer survivor James Conner. For those who didn't know, I don't remember what I was gonna pick now. Give me Josh, 8-3.
Oh my God.
Okay. Lightning round, right? Yeah. Calvin, I'm taking. I just think this offense is way better than Josh's, in my opinion. The defense for Josh is way better than Calvin, but I just don't. I don't trust Josh enough at this point. I'm gonna take Calvin.
Last 4 weeks, Kelvin is barely averaging 50 points on defense per week, while Josh is still flourishing at nearly 65 points per game. Offense is obviously a lot better than Josh's, but just lost Cooper Kupp. Give me Josh. Bounce back. And that's week 11.
All right.
Ooh, wow.
This is gonna be a crazy one.
Huge slate of games coming up here. We got some big ones, and the playoff picture could look, could see it happening here. Carter, if Carter picks up the win this week against me, that's playoff team. That's probably a clincher without being a real clincher.
Actually, I remembered when Carter got the win last night. I was going to come on the pod and make a bold prediction, sort of a guarantee, if you will. I am guaranteeing Carter will make the playoffs. It's the first guarantee that I'm throwing out there this year.
Boy, you would hate to see Frazier place a curse on his favorite team.
It's okay because I manage the curses.
Okay.
He's forging the book of curses.
Mm-hmm.
God. I mean, yeah, it'd be a collapse for the ages if he was not able to close this out, especially with games with Kelvin and Parker. Yet 2 vulnerable teams who actually, for being vulnerable teams in a season, those are some scary teams.
Yeah.
So
it's okay. It's okay too because me and Carter actually trained together in the off season, so he's been brought up by a winner. He's a winner.
Jesus. Oh my God. Well, Frazier, get hydrated, get a lot of good sleep in anticipation for one of the biggest games that I can remember. I was literally giddy, literally couldn't stop smiling when we were talking about it because it's gonna be so freaking amazing. Oh my God!
What a game too. Gurley's going Monday, I believe. So
oh shit!
Jeez.
I think Tim has a couple. It's
Robert Woods
setting up for maximum drama as well on top of it.
Let's go.
Also, that just in general, that Chiefs Rams game is going to be awesome too. Like that's
Chiefs Rams is what it is.
Yeah, that's like the game of the year.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I will see you here next week for what it should be another great podcast this season. I'm calling it the best season ever. This has been high drama, high impact. I'm excited every week. I'm glued to my phone every week, more so than normal. So, Isn't that true though? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but I am like constantly watching the games this year. Like, I'm checking the freaking scoreboard every 2 seconds, even if I'm like losing by a lot. I just don't even
You're right.
care.
Right. Last year I would go through and I'd watch my game, I'd watch my projections, and then at the end of the week I'd check who else won. This week I check projections on every game every time I open the app.
Yeah, this is gonna be it. Yeah, you're just going around the horn every time because it's like, what's going on everywhere else?
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, guys. Anything else for week 10?
No, sir.
Sayonara.
Let's go ahead and make it a great week.